You're listening to Tales of the Dead. Today's episode is about the Jiang-Shi. Listener discretion is advised. We begin our story in rural China on a calm, misty night in the middle of autumn. The air cold, a slight breeze blowing, sending fallen leaves tumbling along the road. An old farmhouse stands alone, like a tower among the large, flat fields that surround it. In the bedroom of a farmhouse lays a young man under an old blanket, peacefully sound asleep with his wife, safe in their home. Then out of the dark, misty night came a noise, a strange, unidentifiable, shrieking noise, a noise unlike anything he had ever known to come from the fields. The man and his wife both shot up out of bed, wide awake, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The sound had shaken them to their core. After seeing his wife this scared, the man is filled with a sense of determination. He tells her to stay put, puts on his shoes, and heads downstairs. Heading down the stairs to the main living area of his home, he stopped halfway, cautiously looking around to see if all was well. And everything was as it should be. His nerves settling slightly, the man looked out his window to the field, not sure quite what he was looking for, but seeing nothing except for the moonlit fields themselves. The man turned around to go back upstairs, before again it came, another piercing shriek, or maybe it was more of a wail. He didn't have time to think about what it was yet. He spun around almost instantly, looking back out the window, hoping to see something, anything, but again, nothing. This time, he wouldn't risk going back upstairs, and slowly began to walk towards the front door. The door creaked as he opened it. Steeling his nerves, he proceeded to head outside, closing the door behind him, and looking out at the field. All was quiet, though the silence was of no comfort, and accompanied by the cold air, it gave the night a terribly eerie feeling. The man began to walk towards the field, thinking he had finally seen something, what looked like pale skin moving in the darkness. He followed it all the way across the field. As he approached the fence, the edge of his land, thinking he'd finally catch whatever this was, and then poof, gone. Then there came a scream, this time one he recognised, his wife. The man shot off running, full speed back to his house, his wife's screams fueling his sprint. Into the house, back up the stairs, slamming open the door to the bedroom. When he got there, what he saw horrified him, his wife's screams now making perfect sense. A cold aura emanated from the being, this blue, partially rotted corpse. For some reason, this horrible sight before him was wearing robes, deep blue, almost regal robes, a beaded necklace draped around its neck, and a small woven red hat atop its head. But before the man had any time to examine further, he saw his arm stretch out and attempt to drain his wife of her key. It was trying to steal her life force. The man, fearing for his life and the life of his wife, swung for the being, but it just hopped out the way, and continued for his wife. He swung again, it hopped out the way, and again, and again. Now getting dangerously close to his wife, the man racked his brain, desperate for any information that could help him. For some reason, an old folktale came into his mind. Desperate to protect his wife, he tried what he vaguely remembered from the tale, and grabbed his wife's mirror. He held it to the corpse, and then, with a pained wail, it was gone, leaving nothing behind but a frightened couple and a terrifying memory. The story you just heard was that of the Chinese Jiang-Shi. The Jiang-Shi are a type of undead creature found in Chinese folklore. Although its Chinese name is often translated as Chinese hopping vampire, it is much closer in appearance and behaviour to a zombie, with its literal meaning being stiff corpse. These creatures may be identified by their attire, the uniform of a Qing dynasty official. Additionally, the Jiang-Shi is recognisable by its posture and movement. The arms of these creatures are permanently outstretched, apparently due to rigor mortis, and they hop rather than walk as a result of the stiffness in their bodies. There are many ways to turn a corpse into a Jiang-Shi, and as many ways to defeat them. These undead creatures appear in quite a number of Chinese films. While most Jiang-Shi share the same type of attire, bodily posture, and mode of movement, variations also exist among the creatures. For example, some of these beings look like normal humans, while others are more decomposed as a result of being dead for a longer period of time. Others have been depicted with sharp teeth, long nails, and emitting a green phosphorescent glow. In some stories, Jiang-Shi are said to be able to grow stronger, thus allowing them to acquire skills such as flying and turning into wolves, though this isn't common. There are apparently many ways for a dead body to turn into a Jiang-Shi. For instance, according to one version of the myth, a Jiang-Shi is created when a person suffers a violent death. For instance, suicide, hanging, or drowning. Such deaths cause the soul to be unable to leave the body, thus resulting in a reanimated corpse. Another belief is that a corpse may become a Jiang-Shi if it is not given a proper burial. For instance, if a burial was postponed after death, a dead body may become restless and return to haunt the living. Corpses that have been struck by a bolt of lightning or hopped over by an animal, particularly cats, are also said to turn into this undead creature. The Jiang-Shi are commonly said to come out at night to sustain themselves, as well as to grow more powerful. They would steal the life force of living victims. The living, however, are not defenseless against these creatures. There seems to be several ways to defeat or escape a Jiang-Shi. These include, but are not limited to, salt, throwing rice or money on the floor, showing it a mirror, chicken eggs, the urine of a virgin boy, holding your breath, sticking a Taoist talisman on its forehead, and the crowing of a rooster. Like many evil creatures, when items are thrown before them, they must stop and count them before they can carry on. This is why the rice and money allow for escape. Taoist talismans can immobilize Jiang-Shi when placed on its forehead. Jiang-Shi are blind, so if someone holds their breath, they can remain unnoticed. But those only delay or hide from the monster. If you really want to drive one back, both salt and male virgin urine burn the Jiang-Shi. Showing it a mirror causes it to disappear as it fears its own reflection, similar to a rooster's crow. As Jiang-Shi can only be active at night when they hear the rooster, which typically signifies sunrise, they flee. These stories about the Jiang-Shi are not entirely without basis in fact. During the Qing dynasty, efforts were made to return the bodies of Chinese workers who died far away from home back to their place of birth. This was done so that their spirits would not grow homesick. It seems that there were those who specialised in this trade and handled the transportation of the corpses back to their ancestral homes. These corpse drivers, as they were known, are said to have transported the dead at night. The coffins were attached to bamboo poles that rested on the shoulders of two men as they went on their journey. The bamboo poles would flex. Viewed from afar, this would look as if the dead were bouncing on its own accord. It's from here that the rumours about reanimated corpses began. Initially, it was speculated that the corpse drivers were necromancers who were able to magically reanimate the corpses of the dead. Under the supervision of the corpse drivers, these dead would hop back home. This was done overnight to minimise the decay of the body. Additionally, travelling at night meant that there would be a lower chance of encountering the living, and meeting the dead is considered bad luck. For added measure, a priest with a bell is said to lead the procession, thus warning people of their approach. And that wraps up another haunting chapter of Tales of the Dead. The Jiang-Shi may hop through the shadows of folklore, but its grip on the imagination endures through time. If you enjoyed this dive into one of Asia's most unique legends and fancy listening to another spooky tale, check out my other episodes on the Draugr and on the zombie. Thanks for joining me. Stay alive out there.